Greetings, everybody. Nino the Mystic here, and welcome to another SINDAY Live. Tonight, we got a very special guest. His name is Phil Warder. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. How you doing tonight, Phil?
Great, Nina. Thank you for having me. And yes, you did get it right. And you would be amazed at the amount of people who screw up that simple last name. So thank you for getting it right.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. At least I've done something right. uh, yeah. So anyway, so I was on your show a little while ago there, a few months ago. Was it like a panel discussion we had? I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, that was on healing and nurturing the inner child and healing experiences from the non-physical, I believe. And that was back in August.
Okay. Yeah. And it was a little while ago. Yeah. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. Some of my audience might know, but some might not know, and you can probably do a better job than I could. So, yeah, let us know what. Yeah.
Sure thing. So I'm Phil Warder, also going by the name Phantom Phil, and I host the Unexplained Incorporated podcast, and I've done so since March of 2020, a very infamous month in our lives. And it started out strictly as a paranormal podcast, and it was known as the Friday Night Fright. And to this day, I actually post new episodes Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on all audio platforms and Rumble for now. More video platforms likely to come a little bit down the road. And then after some, how should I say this? Some plant-based assistance from some certain fungi. I took a break from the show and had to distance myself for a few weeks or a couple of months. And then I revamped things. And then, as you see the tagline on my logo here, it became Where the Unknown Connects with the Empowered. And from there, I wanted to continue doing paranormal, the unexplained, and mesh it together with spirituality and spiritual development. And that also goes into what I do personally and how I work part-time. I have been certified in Usui Reiki, some forms of shamanic healing, as well as spiritual hypnosis. So I got my regular job, and then I got the healing stuff on the side. And I feel with this show, not only do I bring guests on with great stories, and some of the best stories are from local guests instead of the same old big guests that you hear. That's that way some of the time. And I also share and weave in parts of my own journey to see where we take this thing. And I think that's a pretty good start from there.
Yeah, I like because I know we didn't mention it here, but part of your stuff is conspiracy as well. So it's kind of refreshing to see somebody's combining the paranormal, the spiritual, and sort of some of the conspiracy as well. I think more and more of us are starting to wake up, and it's harder and harder to try to separate the content, because that's been one of my biggest struggles, is try to separate, especially on YouTube, because they're very finicky. It has to be the same content. You can't switch it up, and so yeah, I kind of like that. I might show your website here so people can see. This is his website. Yeah. Of course, the link for it is in the description down below there, guys. So go and check that out. Well, this is his website here. He's got quite the website here. And of course, where you'll get, he's got all his shows in here as well, latest shows. So if you're wondering, like, when was the last time he went live or whatever, you'll probably find it right here on his website here. So here you go. You got some of the conspiracy stuff, paranormal, extraterrestrial, psychic, cryptid, metaphysical. You kind of got it all here. Case study, you got, it's a nice website. And I go in here, you got all your shows.
Yep, all the audio feed is in there, every single one of them. And eventually, some of these will end up on the video platforms when I convert them into my editing software as well. So this is a good introduction for sure.
Yeah, you really should get up on YouTube there. That's, well, seems to be where it's at, Like, so you got it all, I see. Okay, so you got it all in sort of sections here. And then you got a blog too, I noticed. But you haven't been that active there since 23. It looks like the last time you did a blog over there.
Yeah, when I get the urge, I will write something. I just haven't had that the last little while, but I'm
Mhm.
always looking to update though. And some of these blogs actually influenced and inspired some of the current segments on my show for some of my solo episodes as well. And this is my out there page where I've been on all sorts of shows, and this needs to be updated as well because I've been on so many different shows since this has last been updated in the last like couple of years. So, but this is also a good start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris. I know Chris and
Yeah,
his wife. We've been on Karen Holton's channel there quite a bit. Actually, I seem to be a recurring monthly guest over there now. So I
yeah.
know all these guys, and I kind of chuckle at this. My family thinks I'm crazy. Yeah, that's me too. I think a lot of us feel that way. Yeah, it's yeah. You got a lot of good stuff here, and of course, you got your bio in here that you guys can
Yeah,
go and read up.
some of
Uh,
that needs to be updated as well, but it's fairly recent. So
yeah, March 2020. I think a lot of people kind of started to do podcasts and whatnot at that time. I mean, a lot of people were stuck at home and there was not much else to do. So, uh, yeah, I think a lot of people started. Now, I don't know if everybody's still doing it though. That's another
I
thing. So, yeah.
I think I'm a rare breed that is still doing it from that point in time, and I
Mhm.
have kind of a funny story about that actually. So I started initially getting ideas for this, I think as far back as spring of 2019.
Mm.
And then in the fall of that year, I started to do some serious planning, and I had a couple of people helping me behind the scenes. And it's hard to pinpoint why, but at that point in my life, I was very self-conscious about starting a project like this and had those usual jitters where I'm like, well, what if nobody likes it or nobody downloads it or whatever? And it was in hindsight, it was all kind of ridiculous. But I finally set a hard deadline for March 20th, 2020, the first day of spring. And the previous Friday the 13th, what happened? Everything just like descended into chaos. And I had bigger fish to fry. And I just stopped, took a breath, and said, does anybody really care about me talking about ghost stories, with everything going on right now? So I just slept on it. I left it alone for a week. And then March 27th, 2020 is when the first episode aired. I had 2 solo episodes recorded. And then in April, I had my very first guest on, and the rest is history. So, like, I really came that close to abandoning it before it even started. And I'm so glad I never went down that route.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because I kind of feel that way too. It's like, well, is people interested in, metaphysical or paranormal? That's kind of what this channel is about as well. Are people still interested in that? With everything that's going on in the world, it's just getting worse and worse since 20. It's just never ending. Now it's really getting intense, and so I'm having a struggle with that on the daily, honestly, still, like, with that, and I'm sure a lot of other people are as well. But then again, you got to remember that people do need a break as well from the news and from all of the horrible stuff, right? And this is kind of like your guilty pleasure on just something spiritual, something, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a nice break as well, probably, for people. You guys who are listening, comment down below. Do you guys want to hear more about what's going on in the world, or do you want to hear more about the paranormal and metaphysical? Let us know. Yeah, Johan's saying that she loves ghost stories, especially right now. We just had Halloween, so that's what it's all about. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like, it's sort of a guilty pleasure in a sense, that kind of stuff, right? It's you know
Yeah,
yeah.
it can be. But you brought up an interesting point earlier because you talked about how some people will find the paranormal, the spiritual, and the conspiracy. Well, the deeper you go on this journey, they all kind of intersect with one another. And like, there's no escaping it. And
I know.
I've said this on other shows as well. I do not fully consider myself a conspiracy pod, even though I do dive into those subjects whenever I can and whenever I find it necessary.
Mhm.
And around Halloween of last year, when I launched the video episodes on Rumble, I also birthed my alter ego, my shadow half, my dark half, Phantom Phil Fortune.
Mm.
And when he has those episodes, which are known as shadow sermons, that's when I dig into a lot of the conspiracy stuff more, because I look at it almost as a gateway drug where I want people to explore some of the base topics in the conspiracy realm and then go to the other shows that deal with that full time and dig deeper and deeper into it. So, yes, I do love diving into the conspiracy realm, but it's not my be all end all. And I don't always get into a lot of socio geopolitical economic stuff. I do once in a while, but it's not my bread and butter because there's so many hosts out there that do a much better job of that stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing. There's so much competition out there now. And we were talking before we went on the air, with the AI and, all these what looks like big productions, really, that back in the day used to be, a big, money making thing. Now is, I don't know how much it costs to have these programs, but probably cheap compared to, like Hollywood production type of thing, but it's that kind of quality. And so how do you compete with that? Just you and I
Mhm.
sitting here with a microphone, it's kind of hard, right? To get people's attention and to compete with all that AI stuff that's going on out there. So, for those who are watching, thank you very much. Make sure you hit that like and share this out. So maybe we can get some more people in here in the live. But yeah, I find myself almost leaning more towards debunking stuff now. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
um, just because it just irritates me when I see people regurgitating the same old kind of BS, and yeah, and so I'm finding that's kind of what I'm doing now is, so, but yeah, what are you gonna
It
say?
it's interesting that you bring that up because we kinda had a brief chat about this before we started recording,
Mhm.
and I've heard this from other hosts and content creators as well, both on the air and privately in conversations, that there is so much in the wilderness to sift through now that it's getting harder and harder, even with the proper discernment, to tell what's legit and what isn't. And you're probably finding this too, Nina, that more and more people are looking for hills to die on to cling to their own information or the regurgitated information of others, and are not willing to look at things on both sides. And I'm sure you've heard this before. There's no doubt some of these programs, some of these shows, they've been infiltrated. And some of these social media platforms, the same thing. They're throwing us off scent with crazy, absurd stories that many people either want to argue about or get caught up in without any real merit. So that's why I leave a lot up to my guests and I let the audience decide whether they are to be trusted and listened to or not. My filter and my discernment radar is pretty good, but once in a while, something will slip through and I'll look back and I'll be like, maybe we shouldn't have talked about that. Maybe we shouldn't have gone there with that person, but that's few and far between. But you're right, though. It's a constant uphill climb in today's climate for these types of shows.
Yeah, another thing that is going against us in a sense is that, influencers are being paid big bucks to spew out whatever it is, right? And so they're instigating things, getting people riled up and going down rabbit holes that isn't going anywhere
Yeah.
and distracting. And that's the main thing is it's all distractions. I'm finding this three-eye atlas right now. That's a huge distraction. Everybody's jumping on it. Everybody's doing content every day, 2, 3 shows a day on it, and it's, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to be actually doing a show myself on that next week,
All right. Yeah.
but going more in a different direction than most content creators are doing.
Good.
more in what I think is going on here. And yeah, it's a distraction for sure. But yeah, you got to remember, and then you got the algorithms. A lot of the times when you're having discussions online, it's not even a real person. It's
Mhm.
the bots that are doing it, getting you all riled up, giving you information, getting you to go down rabbit holes that you never would have thought of, and just distracting you from, other stuff, And so it's, yeah, it's a whole different ball game now with doing this than it was back in the day. Like we were talking about, like Facebook used to be the place, like I mean, all kinds of interactions. People are all, coming in, and, it was just a great place. Now it's like a ghost town.
Mhm.
We post things and no likes, no interactions. It makes me wonder, are you guys even seeing the stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know unless you tell us. So, yeah, it's very frustrating, I gotta
I've
say.
seen, um I've seen quite a decrease in my interactions on my own social media, but
Mhm.
yet my numbers and my own data tells me that I'm still reaching the same amount of people with the show, if not more than I used to. But yet on these platforms, the interaction has gone way down. And yet they have more data available for you to read about your engagements and your interactions, but it seems like nobody's engaging with it. And then you do have to stop and wonder, are people really seeing this? And
Mhm.
given some of the things people like you and I and many others talk about, I'm wondering if it's being slipped into the ether on purpose so the word can't get out, whatever that word may be. It's like you really got to stop and wonder about that thing.
I think so. There's, AI is watching everything we post. And if there's anything that they don't think goes, well with their agenda, then obviously nobody's going to see that. That's the thing. They
Yeah.
can't take you out, but they can limit the reach. I know
Yes.
that's the wording they have on X. I don't even bother with X anymore now. I just, now that because it used to be that we could go live there for free. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I did, and whatever. But now, yeah, once he took that down, I'm like, I forget it. I'm not even gonna bother. I can't be bothered. It's just too much, too many bots in there, instigators. They're instigating, and arguing, and I can't get it. I can't get into all of that stuff. But yeah, it's weird. I'm hoping that maybe something better is coming around the corner. Maybe this is at the end of this era of, I don't know. Do
Yeah.
you have a feeling that something else is coming around the corner?
Well, I think I wanted to ask you and maybe whoever's checking in with us in the chat here if they had any ideas. I just wanted to say that if some new platform is being built or promoted by someone that's super wealthy or is in, the tech circle or the
Mhm.
political sphere, it's probably not going to be what we want at
No.
all. You know what I mean? And another problem, and I think this has been happening over the years as well, is I think someone could start a grassroots platform and build it organically, but then one of the big tech overlords is going to come in, buy them out with what seems to be their endless wealth, and then they're going to mess with it in their own way and dilute it from what it originally was. And actually, before you respond to that, I just thought of this. I don't know where this has gone, but sometime within like the last year, I was hearing, I believe Peter Thiel was thinking about trying to get into the psychedelics market, like to try and
Oh,
produce and manufacture magic mushrooms. And that one seems very concerning to me because you take something that's organic and can be very helpful to many, and who knows what him and his people are going to put in them or how they're going to sell them and distribute them. And I don't know if that's gone anywhere or not, but that's a good example of one of these big tech people trying to overreach into something that is organic and helpful and possibly spoiling it. And that could be the same for a new social platform, I think.
you're absolutely right. I mean, if, yeah, some rich, like Elon. I mean, come on. Did you really
Yeah,
think he
yeah.
was going to rescue us all? Really? No, I don't think so. As far as I know, like I said, I don't go on there now, but as far as I know, there's all kinds of shadow banning over there. Like, still. So, and like YouTube apparently has given back a lot of people their platforms, because they would
Yeah.
take your platform down if you said something, like 5 years ago. I know I'm going to have a guest on next month here who's been gone from YouTube for 5 years. He
Mm.
just finally got his channel back now. So that's, a step in the right direction. But at the same time, we still got to be watchful of what we talk about. There's certain things from the 2020 era that we still can't talk about. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, oh
Yeah.
no, that's,
Yeah.
so, but it's going a little bit better. But yeah, no, YouTube is one of those. Like YouTube started out, it was YouTube. It was
I
our
remember.
tube. And then, yeah, I can't remember who bought it, but Google, I don't know,
It was
whoever
Google, I think. Yeah.
took
Yeah.
over, and it's just gone downhill from there. So yeah, no, you're right. Even if something new does come up, like say Zuckerberg, like a couple of nerds who are in school who came up with something cool, they're going to get bought out. The money talks, that's the unfortunate thing there. Where's this? My bank account is cut off.
Yeah,
Not mine.
I think they're talking about the perils of digital ID and such. That's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
gather anyway. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another thing that's coming heavily now. It's coming. There's no stopping it now. That train has already left the station, and it's going to be at your door any day now. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about that. Like, it's, yeah. And if we talk about it, I'm sure they're going to shut down our channel. So,
Yeah,
right?
and I almost get this feeling like we may slowly and gradually have to return back to our own trade and barter systems possibly, or find an old school pirate radio frequency to get the message out and try and cut it off from this digital tech that we're in. Because it's funny, in some ways it seems like to move forwards we're going to have to go backwards, because moving forwards further into this digital realm, it just seems to get weirder and weirder and more constrictive, and it really shouldn't
Yeah.
be, but it's what it is.
Yeah, because AI is everywhere. It's if you're using your laptop, it's listening. It's so yeah, going back to the old ham radios, maybe, and having the old group chats that way. That might be the way to do it. That, if you guys can get a hold of any of that equipment, because I'm pretty sure there's probably a lot of it for sale now. The boomers are kind of leaving, and a lot of their stuff is for sale. I've noticed everybody's selling grandma stuff. And ham radio, if you can get a hold of something like that, that's probably a good investment. Even if the grid shuts down and stuff like that too, that might be helpful, to keep in touch and stuff like that. So yeah, we are, like Rick is saying, we are trapped in it now. It's a web. I mean, it's
Yeah.
right there. It says right there, it's a web. We are trapped in the web. And yeah, what are you going to say?
Yeah, another interesting thought that connects to all of this, and it's a big one to kind of wrap your head around, and it's something I've talked about on the show a time or two, is that without any kind of way of predicting it or calling it, we do, I believe, face somewhat of a threat of these solar flares and these solar storms
Mhm,
that, given at the right velocity or the right angle or what have you, I'm no expert on this, but
mhm,
certain, projectiles from the sun could potentially take this whole grid down,
mhm,
and there's nothing we could do about it. And it would create chaos that, like, we couldn't even fathom. But
mhm,
on the other hand, if we were able to make it through that and out the other side, their system is over. It's game over, and their power's practically done. So
mhm.
where I kind of go with all that, and I'm not trying to like sound too dark or anything, but I just feel like we could be one natural cataclysm away from wiping this out, and it could be in the long run the best thing that ever happened to us in order to move forward, because it seems like whoever's lived on this planet in any era, something is taking it down. And whatever that something is, I don't think there's been any control over it for the most part. So it's kind of a crazy thing to think about, but I think it's healthy to have it in the back of your mind as well, and maybe realize it might be the only way out of this digital box. and maybe that's how it's meant to be. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, the feeling that I got is they kind of rushed it with electricity. It like we've only had it for 100 years, and
Mm.
apparently, yeah, we've already had solar flares that took out. And at that time, I think we had Morse code or something like that. It did affect it, but we didn't have the electricity yet. So that is definitely a valid thing that could happen at any time. Something like that. To me, it feels like they rushed the whole electricity, and my feeling is that they did that so that they could get the television into our homes. Because
Yeah.
prior to the television, that it was pretty much, mandatory to, not mandatory, but we were gaslit into thinking that that's what everybody needs. That if you don't have that, you're behind the times. Like,
Hmm.
so we got gaslit into everybody to get one. And we sat there and programmed the last 2-3 generations on how they want things to go. And that television was definitely the downfall of our humanity right now. Like, it just dumbed us down to the point where, like, it's unbelievable. But yeah, so to me, it feels like they rushed it a bit, because I've always wondered, like, why do we got all these lines everywhere? It looks ugly. It doesn't look
And
good. Like, yeah.
yeah, and once again, I am no expert on this, but I'm basing this off of various interviews with people I've heard over the years, is that I think what we run is known as dirty electricity. Like, it's not clean burning, it's actually very low grade. And like you said, it's rushed, it was hastily put together.
Mm,
And to connect some dots with that, I think number one, they found a way to profit off of it in a mass
mm,
scale.
mm.
So obviously it's going to go into place. But number two, there's always the old Tesla versus Edison debate. And,
Yes.
was Tesla sabotaged by Edison? And quite possibly there's very strong evidence for that. And Tesla had a model which some people are bravely still exploring today. And I don't know how far they're getting with it, but it seems like he may be the one man who was robbed the most by the system for, trying to help the collective. And I've had a couple of private conversations with a couple of guests on the show over the years that are doing some work into this stuff. And it's not stuff I can share here out in the open, unfortunately. But I think another solution to kind of the state that we're in is that there could be a grassroots movement to explore more of Tesla's energy pattern and free energy, or whatever they call it. And that could snowball into something that can't be stopped. I'm not saying that for sure, but that's another thing to look into. So I'm glad, Nina, you brought up the electricity angle. And one other quick thing I will add is that when I was looking into the solar flares and all that stuff, I believe it was in the mid to late 1800s, or maybe even the early 1900s, a solar flare took out an entire transformer station in Quebec and caused a
Okay.
bit of caused a bit of chaos for a period of time. So don't think this is something that's happened like, 3 to 5,000 years ago. Like, it's happened within the last like couple hundred years. So it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, so because I know the whole solar flare, that's become something popular nowadays. Everybody's talking about it, and
Yeah.
it is true. That is one thing that is true. Solar flares, this has been happening, and from what I understand, these solar flares, like a big one like that, happens every 150 years. It's normal, and so we're
Mhm.
kind of due for another one, to be honest. So, that's be prepared. That's why I keep telling everybody to make sure you're prepped, because, who knows, the grid might go down, and it might take them quite a while to get that back up again. So you need to be prepared for that. It's not just wars and other things. I mean, there's a lot of other things that could be doing it as well. But yeah, no, that is definitely, a reality. And also, yeah, I guess JP Morgan said if we can't put a meter on it, we don't want it. And they gaslit Tesla, and he died broke and alone in a hotel room, as we know. And we also know that Donald Trump's uncle is the one that went into the safe and took all his paperwork. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think I was aware of that, but that's super interesting, isn't it?
Uncle John went in there and got all of that. And so, like, there's a lot of speculation, because I mean, you look at the Simpsons show. I mean, how are they able to predict the things that they are down to the paper dropping? I mean, to me, so it makes me wonder if Tesla was on time travel stuff, like if he had some really good stuff about time travel there that the Trump family has had privy to this whole time. And so that's a whole nother rabbit hole, but
Well, I actually don't mind spending a couple of minutes there because it's been coming
okay.
up on my show a lot recently, and we're all kind of coming to our own conclusions that time is not moving in a straight line. In fact, it's probably like a loop or a spiral.
Yep.
And this is something I get into quite a bit on my show because I don't like, the sound of my own voice. I hear that enough, but I do like to update and share stories about certain things that happen along my journey. And through various means and modalities, I've found I've been able to jump into future timelines, like without realizing it. And
Mhm.
it really freaks me out when I meet that vision in the 3D present reality like this. And with some of the hypnosis work I do, I have a couple of one or two really good friends that I do practice with in exchanges. And I've also gone, I believe, into the past, some past life sessions as well. And some of the energetic codes and the lessons from those, I think, are playing out in my life right now. So if you want to say, and I've heard like all those rabbit holes about the Trump and Nicolas Cage being time travelers and all that, I'm into it. I am not surprised because what the parasitic class has access to in terms of these super colliders and opening portals like the CERN stuff. And there's probably facilities outside of CERN we don't even know about and we'll never know about.
Mhm.
Who knows what kind of wormholes they've been jumping in and out of and how they're using it to mess with our minds. So the thesis of all that is on my own personal experience, time is not linear. So to them, it can't be either. And they've probably known about it for so long and are using it to their own advantage.
Which, it's not really fair, but I mean, life isn't fair. And this is
No,
probably
no.
explains why certain families or certain people like Trump, is able to accumulate as much money as he has. Apparently his 20-year-old son, he's only 20 years old, he's worth 150 million already. I mean, he barely got out of high school. So, and so because they have the information that we don't by using the time travel type of thing. I mean, just imagine going down to the casino and already knowing the numbers, like just things like that, like
Or
never mind, the bigger things, there's so much. You guys got to look at the whole Trump thing, go and look at the books, Barron's, what was it called? Little Baron's Time Travel or something like that.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
a
something
bunch
along
of
those
books
lines.
that
Yeah.
were, and that you can't, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. There's no way that, so anyways, but you guys can go and, dig into that on your own time. But yeah, no, going back to time, I also came to that conclusion after had years of having reoccurring dreams of things
Oh,
that happen in the future. And
yep.
it was
I've had
happening
those too,
over
by
and
the way.
over again. Yeah, over and over again. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? There's no way that, that I should be able to dream about the future if I hadn't already done it. I've already been there. And that's the thing. So it's on a loop.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm able to see some stuff in the future because I've already been there. And so I came to that conclusion myself just by my own experiences. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So these people know how to manipulate and how to go in and out. And, yeah, which isn't fair, because they're setting up the future in the past, knowing what's going to happen and then cashing in on it, so
And
yeah.
I I think that's one of the many reasons why, like, psychedelics are illegal. Because forget about the healing propensities they can deliver. It's and I've done this on my own. You can literally plug into certain timelines and certain pieces of time and use it for your own embetterment and your own improvement of health and all that stuff. Like, it's really interesting. And one more thing I'd like to add about the Trump time travel thing is,
Yeah.
very recently, and I swear these things never come up by accident. Like I could even get into a whole discussion about spirit hacking our algorithms and making us see certain things at certain times.
Mm-hmm.
Within the past week, I listened to a podcast discussing and breaking down Back to the Future Part 2, which is a very wild movie in and of itself. And that's the one where Biff Tannen becomes super wealthy because he gets given the sports almanac from the future and he has all the futures. And if you really look at this character closely, when he's running the show in that alternate 1985, there's a ton of comparisons to Trump. And I have to, and it just makes me realize, like, somebody like him, and I'm only going to use him as an example, who rises to this prominence and this wealth, like seemingly out of nowhere. It's like you have to wonder if him or his family had access to something similar or some inside secret that nobody knows, because he was hated in his own industry. He was hated in his own city. God knows how many legal battles and court battles he got himself into. But yet it's like it all just rolls off his back and he just keeps going forward and forward. And now, you know, he's at the top of the proverbial food chain for a second term, and it's getting really crazy. And I don't believe for a second any of it is organic, like with him or those types of people. So they have access to something for sure that we don't.
Yeah, he's been bankrupt numerous of times. Not, you know, there's a couple of times that we know of that he got bailed out by a certain group of people, but he's been bankrupt more than that. But his business bankruptcy, you see, so that's different, you know, than personal or whatever. But yeah, I mean, even just knowing where to buy the real estate, you know, where is it going to be populated next? You know, if you're looking to the long game here, like 50, 100 years, you know, yeah, I mean, if I'd have known, you know what I mean, I could have been a millionaire too, but we just didn't, you know. And so, or even coming up with the crypto or coming up with the things that are going to be big in the future, you know. Yeah, this game is definitely rigged for sure. And and it's exciting to see because things are coming out now. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm hoping that all of this is going to come out and that, you know, it's going to be more of a fair game so that we can all enjoy these things, you know. So let's hope.
Here's a question I have kind of for everybody. You asked me, Nina, earlier about is there another big platform for us to express coming down the line? What is the next big truth to be revealed that they don't want to be revealed? I have probably a couple of theories on my own, but I'd love to hear from the others and yourself what you think, you suspect that may be.
Well, just from knowing the New World Order agenda, from that alone, you can kind of tell what's coming and you can see when it comes as to where those pieces fit in. And so the taking down of religion, that's going to be a big one. Huge one, because they want to usher in the one world religion. So it's going to be a whole new religious thing coming in. But in order to do that, you'll have to take down the old one. So the Vatican will be going down. I do believe in our lifetime here, very soon, actually. I think we're going to see it. You know, and we can kind of see the evidence already, like, because all this, you know, about children and blah, 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 the Vatican. I mean, we're all known about the abuse and schools and just the whole thing. Like that's like been the biggest mafia that we've had. Is been religion, you know, and then religion and government, of course, are holding hands. It was once I realized that I realized, oh, okay, that's how it works. So that's going to be very interesting to see, because a lot of people are going to lose their minds, unfortunately. Oh boy, you know, like you know, people are holding on to that, you know, and I can't say I blame them. You know, it is hard. I almost feel like we have an advantage because we woke up years ago out of religion and everything, you know, so we've had time to explore spirituality and time to explore all these different things. Well, people are waking up now. They don't have that time. And going back to an earlier thing, we were talking about all this misinformation, all this regurgitation of nonsense that's going on YouTube. Well, if you're just coming in now, well, you're not going to know any of that. You've never explored any of it. You haven't researched it. You definitely haven't done it, you know. So that's what we have an advantage of. I've had a decade to try it all out, to do all, even, you know, psychedelics, like everything. And so we have a bit of an advantage. So there is going to be a lot of people waking up here, coming out of religion. Some of them, it does say in the Bible, a lot of people are going to just exit out of here, that you can't handle it, so yeah, be prepared for that as that's
So,
happening.
yeah, I will add to that in just a second, but I want to circle back to the original question that I had you answer and just kind of give my take. One
Mhm.
thing, I don't go super deep into this subject on my show because it's a hard one to discuss and it can get pretty murky at
Mhm.
times, but I have talked to some people who work with SRA survivors or do deep research into that. And,
Mhm.
some of them heavily have the Christian perspective, but they're doing very good work. So, like, I respect that.
Yeah.
But one thing that's come up with some of these interviews I've done on this subject is to me, the next big truth that could be revealed, and we've seen bits and pieces of it over the last year or two. I'm going to just loosely say the underground, meaning that there is such deep connectivity between tunnels and bases and stuff used for human trafficking, smuggling, and maybe hiding some extraterrestrial species, who knows? I
Mhm.
think some of that is inadvertently going to get exposed,
Mhm.
and there's nothing they can do about it. And one way that can be exposed is through a mass earthquake. That fault line on California, those plates,
Mhm.
and even up into, British Columbia, I hate to say it, but,
Yeah, I know. I know.
the Pacific Coast is, like, kind of a time bomb ready to go off, and if certain plates shift and the Earth opens up, we're gonna see some really weird stuff that I think a lot of people are not prepared to see, and there's nothing that can be done about it, and I just think it could lead to further examination of these structures that have tunnels, like places in Los Angeles, that synagogue in Brooklyn a year and a half ago or whatever. And like that was a
Yeah.
whole weird thing. But I think we're going to be seeing more and more of that. And we're going to be like, hey, there's an entire connected underground here we never knew about. What is going on here? So I think that's my big truth prediction for you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's a big possibility that, it's going to be literally discovered that way by the ground opening up. But, there is I think a lot of people already know, and it is out in the open actually, that every city has their own underground system.
Hmm.
So, like the Vatican is connected to the airport, to to all these different, things like, even saying, Elvis has left the building. Well, Elvis never went out the door. He always went underground and through tunnels. And same with the Royals. They were in a different city within like 5 minutes. So they've had that all along, so they can usher in, come and go without being seen. And of course, humans has been the number one commodity, unfortunately, since day one, and it's
Hmm.
never ended. It just
Yeah.
literally went on the ground.
Yeah.
And so that's still going on. As we know, there's hundreds of thousands of people go missing every year, never find their bodies,
Yeah.
right? And the weird thing too, when we had that California fire, if you look at, because there's maps of the underground, if you put that map from the underground thing right on top there, that's exactly where the fire was
Hmm.
right on top of where the underground. So I knew right away, and I was slotted for a smart city anyways. So, and now we just had Jamaica. Well, guess what
Yeah.
that was also slotted for a smart city coming up in 2030. Well, they got to get it plowed down now so that they have time to have the 2030 agenda up and rolling by then, right? So it's so obvious to those who are in the know. When you see the
Yeah.
hurricanes, when you see the fires, it's like, oh, okay, is that another smart city? So I'm kind of waiting for Nanaimo now to get burnt up, or Kelowna was already burnt up. That's
Yeah.
sort of around my neck of the woods. All of these places are all been slotted for smart city. So they rather have it just all demolished. It's easier for them to just build it up new rather than trying to, fix what's there now, or build on top of what's there now. So, but all of those places have an underground system already. That's just, yeah, that's how they've been getting around,
Yeah.
and even,
And
even
it's
the elites between the mansions will also have underground, and that's how they all passed around people and whatever they were doing, right?
Yeah.
Never mind the drugs and whatever else and weapons and whatever else that's also been smuggled, right? But people seem to be the number one commodity that's being passed around. So, oh, we got somebody on Facebook. So I guess Facebook is working. Yay!
Yeah, there we go. There
That's
we go.
good. One of your friends. It
No,
doesn't
no.
look like Duke is going today. So I don't know. It's hit and miss with these platforms as to if they're going live or not. But I try. I try to go live. But yeah, what is Johan saying here? Go ahead.
Moving towards peace or war. And yeah, I've heard similar stories about that too. Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
One
Are
thing
we moving for peace and war? Unfortunately, I think we got to go through a bit of. Oh, that was not the one. This one here.
Yeah.
Wrong one. It keeps jumping on me. Fortunately, I think we have to go through the war before we get the peace. That seems to be the playbook that they do every 100 years or so. And, we had another one there a little while ago. And that's how it seems to, war, famine, and then prosperity, so that's kind of how they do it. It's a way of, crumbling up all the old so they can just, literally shovel it out of the way and build new, instead of trying to build on top of old. That would be like building on top of old foundation. You'd rather just take it all down and start it fresh and new. You know what I mean? That way, it's all safe and it's all modern and the way you want it, so that just makes sense from that point of view. But yeah, it seems to be that we, from a spiritually sense, there's definitely a spiritual war going on that is manifesting on the planet. I think there's a lot more going on than that what we are aware of here, and I mean, if you look at the old scriptures, the old gods say they're going to come back. I don't know. Yeah. What do you think of that? Like the whole 3i Atlas. What's your take on that? Let's dive into that for a second.
31 Atlas. Yeah, sure. Because that kind of ties into something else I wanted to talk about. But I'm not paying a whole lot of stock or attention into it. I've seen posts of it over the last few months coming up on my feed, and I'm just like, I'm not buying this. Like, this looks like it's crafted by some type of AI. Like, I'm not convinced. And all the posts are like fear-ridden, and they seem to have this exact timing. Oh, we expect it to be here at this time at this hour. And I'm just like, that I'm not buying that at all. And this past Friday night, for the first time in the show's history, because 2020 was a leap year, I had an episode air on Halloween night, which was really cool. So I had this panel discussion come in, and this one guy tells me that he remote viewed what he believed was 31 Atlas. And he's like, there's nothing going on here. He's like, it's definitely an unknown object hurtling through space, but he's like, he didn't see it as a threat to Earth, and he didn't see any armored reptilians in there, like ready for battle, like some people are saying. Like, he basically said, yeah, there's something going on, but he's like, it's just gotten blown way out of proportion. And he had a couple of other interesting things, and you can check out the episode if you wanted to listen to that further. But yeah, just a lot of overblown madness. And I wanted to add that in my own journeys with the non-physical, and just my own kind of senses and opinions, we're headed in 2026 and 27 to some really wild times. And we're doing this just after Halloween, so the veil is thin right now. And I think as collective consciousness raises up, even in the midst of all this chaos, I do think the veil's going to get thinner and thinner. And I've talked about this on my show a lot. And I'm going to use this reference again about Roddy Piper and John Carpenter's They Live. It's going to be where some people's or some things' true natures are going to be shown. And those who haven't been, wearing the glasses over the years like we have, they're not going to even know what to think. Like, they're going to, like you said, they're just going to totally freak out. And I also came to realize that all the happenings in spring of 2020, if I hadn't gone on my own journey 2 to 3 years before that, I would have been in total freak out mode myself, but I wasn't, because I could see through a lot of what was going on, and I could kind of stay grounded and stay sane. And I think we're headed towards that with, let's just say, non-earthly beings revealing themselves, like legit, like not being faked or, manipulated by AI or anything. I think a lot of that truth's going to come out.
Yeah, which will be part of taking down religion, because
Right.
religion, they don't believe in that. So,
Hmm.
so for a Christian person, that would be proof then that their book is a lie. So that's going to be part of that. I think they're going to have to show us some evidence of that in order for even the most hardened religious people to say, okay, I mean, we can't deny it. The person is right there in front of me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty naive to think that, we're the only species of intelligence around here. I mean, no, it just can't be. I mean, whatever. But yeah, no, and also, I don't know if you're aware of the Illuminati card deck. Have you heard of
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we've pretty much done all the cards so far. It seems like life is a card game and they just keep dialing up the cards, right? Well, there's
Right.
one left that they haven't used. They haven't done the last card yet. And that's pretty much the point of the video next week, to be honest with you. That's what
Okay.
I think is happening. Whether there's anything to the 3-eye atlas at all, but it doesn't matter. They are going to use that
Yeah, yeah,
to pretend, and then so then you swing in a little Project Bluebeam in there, and I mean, you can even have Jesus come back for that matter with the Project Bluebeam if that's what
yeah,
you want. You know what I mean? Because I mean, who knows? Maybe Jesus is on this thing. He's coming back on the 3-eye atlas. I mean, and I mean, whatever, however they want to swing this, but I think that's what we're gonna probably witness here. And and then you want to go into the conspiracy stuff with the whole Deagle report. We got the Georgia Guidestones. They're very clear about how many people they would like to have on this
yeah,
planet at any given time. Well, we're way due then for a huge cleansing, if you will. And so that would also be a good excuse for them to do that and then blame it on the aliens, you see. It's
yeah.
the aliens that did it.
And
Yeah.
I have my own weird, interesting theory with Bluebeam, is that and I'm going to do a little shout out reference to Batman Begins and Scarecrow, the villain that was in that, how he would spray this noxious gas and he would make people hallucinate their worst fears, and they would just be totally freaking out, but yet
Mhm.
nothing would be happening. It would all be in their own mind. I almost have this feeling that if they do choose to pull this card and execute Bluebeam, that it'll have a similar effect. Those who are constantly living on the lower rungs of the consciousness ladder and living in fear and, being close to an NPC, it's going to work on them. But this crowd, it's not going to work on them because they'll see through it. So we may have some people just having a horrible time and hallucinating and freaking out. Some of us will be going, what's going on? Or like, it just won't affect us, So I could see that happening for sure.
That's
In
something I haven't thought of.
execution.
Yeah, I haven't thought of that. Why not spray something? Because they're spraying stuff on us
Well,
all the
yeah,
time.
but
Who
spray
knows?
more. Yeah, yeah,
Right. So who's to say that, the night before they spray a little something that's going to work on our psyche to then also have the light show and all this other, like everything all at once. We won't be able to tell what's real and what's not.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But some of us, though, who are talking about this now, it's not going to work on us, obviously, because we're expecting it. There'll be those who are completely asleep, who have no idea what the heck we're talking about. Those people are going to get affected, and yeah, a lot of them are. It says in the Bible that men will die of heart attacks from fear. People just
right.
stoop over. I just have heart, like they'll be so fearful of
Yeah,
whatever it is that they're going to see, that they'll just stoop over. So hopefully anybody that's listening, is now aware that, expect something like that. And so that you don't get caught up in the fear, so yeah, make sure you share this video around, because I think it's important for everyone to hear this, whether they absorb it now or whether they resonate it today. It might not, but it might be in the back of their mind later when it's needed. You know what I mean? So Yeah.
I got a quick story I'd like to share because I know we're probably getting up
Yes.
there with time, but
Yeah.
one paradigm shattering experience I had is I've been going back to the mushrooms a lot on this show, and even though I haven't done them in a while myself, and I probably
Mhm.
only got 1 or 2 trips left,
Mhm.
I got reacquainted with them in the summer of 2022, and I hadn't touched them in about 20 years, okay? And I did a solo trip, and all of a sudden, I'm at a point, I'm just laying down with my eyes closed, going where I need to go, and I find myself, like, it looked like the deck of a spaceship in this control panel, and I turn, and there's these 2, like, mantis beings in uniform at this control panel, and then they look up at me, and I was like, "Uh-oh, well, I don't know what's going on here." Now I've done it, but then what really freaked me out is after this exchange, they just looked down and they went back to work, and energetically, I felt like their energy was saying, "Oh, it's him." And I'm like, and after I journaled this, after I came back and everything wore off, I was like, "What in the world was that?" And I'm like, "I feel like they knew me," which is even weirder, okay? Like,
Mhm.
so long story short, about a year later, I get in touch with a woman who I ended up having on the show in late 2023 who claims to be an ET hybrid. And it was a very fascinating conversation, but she was offering these services. And one of them was, I believe, a star being family reading or something along those lines. So, about a month or so before I had her on the show, I decided to do a reading with her over the phone. And she does her thing and she connects and she says, "Oh, your star family is the mantis." And I'm like,
Mm.
"Get out of here." So, anyway, since then, it's something I've explored, and I've done a couple of online workshops with her about it, and I'll just say this right now, it's really interesting, and it's a part of the journey I'm still trying to unpack, but after experiencing all this in the non-physical and then talking to someone here in the 3D about it who seems to know a lot about it,
Mm.
there's not a whole lot that could surprise me anymore. And I mean, it's even funny that I even reached the point where I'm sharing it publicly like this, but I'm like, it's happened and it's kind of taken on a life of its own. So it's not just us here in the meat suit that are, in this universe. So
Yeah, I mean, there's those drawings there on the rocks, mantis people. They
yeah.
kind of look like, so there's definitely something to that. I mean, there's no way somebody would sit and etch that into the stone if they hadn't seen this. So I do believe that there's beings like that. I've heard and seen enough about it that, yeah, and who's to say that we don't come from other systems? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know exactly how big the realm is outside of here, but yeah, I'm sure it stretches all around
Uh,
everywhere.
I've also had some guided meditation experiences to show that there are more multidimensional versions of ourselves existing
Hmm.
simultaneously at the same time. And
That's
I think when I reached the highest dimension and won the 12th dimension, I think I saw a mantis, but that's something I'd have to explore again. So, I mean, there's layers. There's layers. That's all I could
There
say.
is definitely layers. Exactly. I do believe so too, that every decision that we make, we go down different timelines. And so we
Yes.
have a lot of splits in a sense. And going back to the whole time thing, deja vu, I believe when we experience that, it's because we've already done it. We just don't remember it, but we've
Yeah.
done we've been exactly there before. So there's something to it. And some people mention the Mandela effect. I believe, because I think this whole Mandela effect started after 2012.
Yeah.
And I believe CERN, I didn't know anything about CERN back then. Obviously, that was right
Same.
around the time that I was sort of starting waking up. CERN fired up their thing and did something, and I believe they must have done something where we're getting this Mandela effect now, where somehow the timelines. So maybe on the one timeline it was this, but then on the other timeline it was that, and somehow it's bled through that we remember it differently. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think of the
Yeah.
Mandela
Yeah.
thing?
I think you're right about that to a certain aspect, but also I wonder if it's being slipped in as mockery just to say, hey, we can mess with you and there's nothing you can do about it. I think there might be a bit of that in there too. And also, though, when you explore something like the Mandela effect that catches fire on social media, some of it just might need to be debunked because some of it probably just isn't true. And it's something we got to be careful about. So I think it's like A, B, and C all at once.
That, you know what, you probably are right, because knowing them, they probably are messing with us all the time, sitting back having a big chuckle over all us, because it's another distraction, right? It just keeps you
Yeah.
distracted on
Yeah.
talking about this while something else is going on over here. It's yeah. Oh, I had something else I was going to say, but that slipped out of my mind now. Or we quite often will doubt ourselves. And so when
Yeah.
somebody says, "Oh, I think it was the Bernsteins, not the Bernstein," whatever, and we're like, well, maybe it was," and then we start doubting ourselves,
Yeah.
And so, but they know that, they know how to manipulate us, because we're very easily to manipulate, and so they know that, and they'll pull those kind of things where we're like, "Oh yeah, Mandela, did he die during the 80s, or did he?" I don't remember, because most of the time we're not really paying attention to stuff anyways. We were heard the word Mandela on the news maybe back then, but we didn't really look at it too much, so we don't really know. And so then we're like, "Oh yeah, I thought it was this, or I thought it was," yeah. So anyways, they're playing with us or messing with us. I'm sure they have been doing all along. I mean, just that television, I mean, that was like a jackpot for them. They got to mess with us on the daily. Yeah.
And if
You
I'm
know?
sure if you dug a little and went down the rabbit holes, the companies that made and manufactured TVs and the networks that would program them probably all tied in tentacles to the military industrial complex. I'm willing to bet anyway.
I am willing to bet that too. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they used to have subliminal, whatever it's called, advertising, where
Yeah.
they just, it's so fast that you can't see it with your eye, but your subconscious mind picks up on it. Well, they
Mhm.
admitted to that and then said that they stopped doing that at a certain point. I can't remember how
Yeah.
long ago that was
I
now.
don't know if they did.
I don't know if they did either, but they
Yeah.
admitted to it, because it was funny. You'd be sitting there watching a movie. "Oh man, I'm craving a Coke right now. I
Yeah.
don't know why." "Oh man, I would nice and some Lay's chips right now." And we fell for it over and over again. And of course, so they advertise all the stuff that's bad for us, of course, and just all the lies. Now, once you start waking up and you realize to the depth of how much they've been lying and how much they've been against us, it is really maddening. Like,
Mhm.
it's hard to not get mad, at it, and want to sort of shout out from the rooftops, but I've learned in my day that doesn't benefit me at all.
No.
So
No,
no,
it doesn't.
no. It's a little late now, but
Yeah. Yeah.
when you first wake up, you just want everybody to know what you know, and that was one mistake I did with my kids, is I told them too much and
Oh.
they couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My oldest, he still, like, he has a hard time talking to me now, because he can't handle that much truth all at once. And
Yeah.
I should have known. If I had, been a little bit further in my journey, I would have known that and just kept it, a little, toned it down a lot. But again, too late now. But so if somebody's listening and can learn from my mistake, then something good came out of it. But yeah, the thing is we can't really wake people up. Not
No.
really. They're going to wake up whenever it is their time, whenever their journey is, they got to,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you can be of assistance, I should say. And I think we've all done that, where maybe if we're not even trying to wake someone up, but we try to drag them into a deeper conversation or the deeper aspect of the pool. And then you realize, oh, they're not ready. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Like
Yeah.
the story of like the Manus encounter, I can't just tell that to anybody. Like, I need to be selective on who I share that with, because they're going to think I'm batshit nuts. Right. And it's just, sometimes slow drip is the best way. And then it kind of lets you know who wants to go deeper and who doesn't. So, and I think we've all done it too on our own journeys. So
Yeah, somebody else is saying the same thing, done the same mistake. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just part of the whole. We just get really excited when we know something and we want to share it. It's a natural thing, I guess. But yeah, we've learned that in my family now. People know, okay, don't ask her questions about that because you're going to find out, and they don't want me talking about it. So we all know now, okay, well, don't engage Nina in certain things because she'll take you down rabbit holes. And so, but if
Yeah.
they ask me, then hey, are you sure you want to know? Because I'll tell you. But,
Mhm.
you know, uh, yeah, so it's funny. And I've seen in my own family too, that they are wakening up. Like we can have a conversation now that we
Mhm.
couldn't 5-10 years ago. Like, no.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that is exciting to see people are wakening up. So we must have done something right. Yeah, maybe they are, even though they dismiss us, they laugh at us or whatever, but it's brewing in the back of their mind. It's and then they pick up pieces from other people as well, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, maybe she was onto something there.
Mhm.
Maybe, you know what I mean? So, you know, um, yeah, the little trickles might do more than we think, so it is exciting times to see people wake up. I can't wait for all of it to come out, to be honest with you. The whole religion thing, taking on the
Yeah.
Vatican, all the politicians get called out, and going back, that's what I was going to say earlier. We are talking about weed and whatever. Like, so here in Canada, of course, Trudeau went and made weed legal back in
Yeah.
2015. That's the only reason he got voted in, too, by
Yeah.
the
Oh,
way.
yeah. Yeah.
Only reason, right? And so what happened there, though, we weren't thinking that, oh, yeah, great, it's legal, we can all smoke weed now, great. Not thinking that, oh, wait a minute, that means that the government is our drug dealer now. That means
Yeah.
that they're setting the prices. They are adding whatever to it if they want to,
Yeah.
right?
Like what I said
We have
about
no
Peter
control.
Thiel earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have no control of what this is now or the price and whatever. And it's like, yeah, no, that wasn't such a good idea, was it? Not really. So
Another thing I've said, Nina, and I think I've said this on a couple of other show appearances recently, is that, I don't want to go too deep into this, but our justice system is really inverted in this country right now, and that we have dangerous offenders not only walking the streets, but getting like let out of jail to walk the streets and reoffend and all this stuff. But if you take the entrepreneurial spirit and you open up a mushroom dispensary, man,
oh,
they'll
sure.
shut you down in less than a day. It's like, what are we doing here?
Well, I mean, you can go further than that. I mean, those people that were honking 5 years ago, 4 years ago, were
Yeah,
honking
yeah.
the horns. They're still in jail.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Like they're still dealing with their legal things for some stupid, the most peaceful protest you've ever seen.
yeah.
That's what was going on there. And yet our prime minister declared a national emergency and everything else. I mean, it's almost like are we watching the Truman Show here or something? What is going on? Like, how is this possible? That this stuff can happen. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, no, the corruption goes down so deep.
I
Uh,
will I will
yeah.
say one thing about that particular, event was
Okay.
I don't know if you found this in your part of the country, but I found the way that was covered and mishandled actually, I think, woke more people up than they were ever anticipating. Like, I
Yes,
think it backfired a great deal, with
I
what
think
they were
so too.
trying to do.
Yes. It woke my kids up. I know that.
Mm,
To
okay.
start being interested in politics and getting involved and stuff. Yeah, because even the most asleep person scratched their head at all that what was going on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did backfire, which is good because yeah, everything changed after that
Yeah, very
for the
quickly.
better. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So I can't wait for all that corruption to get weeded out, and wouldn't it be nice to have I don't know what the solution is, to be honest with you. We haven't seen anything so far yet on this planet as to a good solution, but I'm hoping that maybe we need some interference from somewhere else who have been through this already, who can say, look, this is how we did it and this is what happened. You know what I mean? Like, that might not be a bad idea because we obviously don't know, how to do it properly here. So, so yeah.
We're learning. We're learning. And
Yeah, yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I'm not advocating this to, just stay idle and do nothing, but I don't
Mhm.
know if it's all meant to be solved in like our generation's lifetime, because that's a lot of work. But I think it's very important to start planting the seeds and having the seeds grow into something even after we're gone. And I think that might be the best we can do. But I mean, we'll just see where it goes.
Looking at the past, it seems to happen pretty quickly.
Yeah.
A society, an empire, or whatever, just like that, gone, just like that. And they have the technology now to do weather manipulation, like the hurricanes, any huge natural disasters. Be very easy for them to just wipe it out and start over again. Now, what that starting over looks like, that's I'm where I was heading there. I don't know what that's going to look like. What is the best solution? To be honest, like we know that they want to usher in the one world everything. So the one world currency, the one world religion, the one world everything. So just the one. Now, from what I understand, this is how it was back in the Babylonian time. Like, so the
Mm.
Anunnaki were like this and whatever, so they want to go back to the way it was. Now I don't know. I don't, if I was around at that time, I don't remember how that was or how that looked like. I don't know
Hmm.
if that would be a good thing, because a dictatorship is not going to be good. That never works out good.
No.
So yeah, and this whole AI thing, that's another thing that's can get out of control. I mean, Musk just talked about it the other day on Joe Rogan's there. Like,
Mm.
yeah, that can go real rogue real fast, and so they're gonna have to nip that in the bud as well before it takes over, and then it's too late for all of them. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so there you go. So there's lots of rabbit holes to go down there to check into. But yeah, it's a strange world that we live in. Honestly, like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a very exciting time, I guess, to be alive, to see it
Yeah.
all sort of unfold. But yeah, anyways, I guess we've got an hour and 12 minutes here. We probably should
Yeah.
wrap this up. But do you have any last minute things that you want to talk about before we shut her down? Or
I just want to say one thing. I alluded to this earlier. If you're looking for a new show to listen to and you like what I brought to the table, go back to my most recent episode that aired Halloween night. It's the four corners of the unexplained. I have four people on to talk about the paranormal, the extraterrestrial, the psychic, and the cryptid. And I think it's a really good launching point for you to start. And then from there, if you choose, you could go back to the beginning or you could catch up with the new ones. But the Halloween show is one of my most favorite shows I've ever done, and I think it ties so many things together, and even briefly gets into some of the things we talked about tonight. So, yeah, just stay curious and put the glasses on because you're going to need them.
absolutely, yeah, get educated and go and check out all his stuff. There's a lot of good stuff there. He's not on YouTube yet, so unfortunately, I don't have a YouTube link for you. But go and follow him all the other platforms there, and email him or something like that. Encouragement is always good. If you see somebody doing something good, encourage them, with an email or a message or a comment on a thing. You know what I mean? It makes a big difference, and that will help you, motivate you to maybe get a YouTube and other things. You know what I mean? So please, everybody, make sure that you are, helping out whatever you can, and that's one way right there. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It was nice to meet you just one on one here. We just
Yeah.
riff it, and that's kind of fun. And yeah, I look forward to all the stuff that you got coming up.
Yeah, right on. And maybe I'll have you on the program sometime in the new year because I'm kind of booked up till then. But yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, anytime. I'm always up to go on shows. So yeah, just hit me up, and we'll see you guys over there on his channel. So hopefully we'll see you on YouTube maybe by then.
Yeah, we'll
Maybe.
see. We'll
We'll
see.
see. We'll see.
Rumble's the place for now for the video episodes, just so you know.
Yeah, well, Rumble is a safe place with all the political stuff and whatnot. So far, as far as I know, that's where I post more political stuff as well as up on the Rumble. So
Mm.
all our channels, I got all his links are down in the description of the video, guys, as well as mine. So go and check them all out. And we'll see you guys next week. We got 3-Eye Atlas debunking that whole thing. So stay tuned for that, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and share, and we'll see you in the next one, everybody. Bye.